How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you so much for being here, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Travis Flaherty, and I am excited to be able to share with you this incredible opportunity. Tonight, we're going to be talking all about cryptocurrency. We're going to be talking about mining. We're going to be talking about the debt box, one of the hottest projects that is in the cryptocurrency space right now. And we're going to be talking about how you can not only participate in it, but you can also profit from what is happening right now in the digital currency space. But before we get started, just a little bit of an introduction. My name is Travis. I live here in Arizona, been married 23 years, 6 kids, big family, love entrepreneurship, love digital currency. I've been in this space now for I've been in this space for 6 years. And, I'm a big fan of everything that cryptocurrency stands for. If you look at why cryptocurrency was created, it was created for the people, by the people. We've got so many different entities that are involved in our transactions these days. You go to the bank and you want to send a wire, and what happens? You got to fill out all of this paperwork, and they want to know where this money came from, and they want to know where this money is going. A lot of times when you send that money, it might take a day or two to get there, but in the process, what are they doing with your money? They're taking your money and they're trading your money, and they're making money off of you. And it just seems like more and more questions are being asked every single day. And I know that you guys are probably really excited to see that 86,000 more IRS tax agents were just brought on in the last, or issued in the last 24 hours, right? Oh, Mike's giving a big thumbs up for that. You're excited about that, right? So, in this world of centralization and, government control and authority and institutions and banks being involved, all of a sudden, digital currency came along. And digital currency really was focused on changing or getting people out of the middle of our transactions. It was focused on, letting people transact in a way that we should be able to transact without people being involved. Unfortunately, when cryptocurrency first started, there were a lot of people that didn't understand it. There were a lot of people that doubted it. There were a lot of people that didn't like change. Think about it. Anytime there's ever been a really big change that's come along in our society, people naturally resist change. I remember when we used to all have to stand in our houses attached to a wall to talk on the telephone. Do you guys remember that? Some could even argue that we were more free then than we are right now with cellular phones, right? So we had to have a phone that we were attached in the kitchen or in the bedroom, and then eventually mobile phones came out. What a huge innovation that was. And then cell phones, the wireless cellular phones came out. I remember when that was such a huge deal, and people were like, well, why would I want one of those things? It looks like a big giant garage door opener that you're carrying around, right? And then all of a sudden the computer came out, and people said, oh, those things are a fad. Who's going to want a computer? Why would anybody need anything like that? The first smartphones came out. People said, why would I need a computer on my cellular phone? And if you go back and you look at the advancement of technology all the way back since the beginning of time, those things have been said. And it was no different with digital currency. So digital currency first came out, and the whole idea was to allow us to be able to transact without having to have people in the middle. And in the beginning stages, it was really misunderstood. It was really hard to buy. If you wanted to go buy Bitcoin, the first cryptocurrency that ever came out, you had to find somebody that was selling it. It was almost like you had to go do a deal in the back corner somewhere, the back alley somewhere, to find someone selling Bitcoin. And then if you wanted to sell it, you had to go find somebody to buy it. But over time, we started to see it evolve. We started to see it progress. We started to see the purpose of blockchain technology. And it's exciting to see where it's come today. I mean, I'm curious, just in the chat, let me know if you are a crypto enthusiast and you are really excited about being a part of where we are in this global adoption phase right now. Because here's what I understand. If you can figure out where people are going and get there faster, there's a lot of money that can be made. If you can figure out where people are going and get there faster, there's a lot of money that can be made. And right now, 4% of the total population today earns cryptocurrency. 4%. That means 96% of the people are sitting on the sidelines saying, I don't understand it. Maybe I should learn more about it. Or they're still resisting the change that is inevitable and it's coming. And here's the thing. Cryptocurrency doesn't have to overtake the fiat currency to be able to be successful. Cryptocurrency is already successful. Digital currency is already changing the world today. And so we're going to kind of go into that a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about just the history. We're going to talk a little bit about the adoption rate so that you can see firsthand what's happening. And then we're going to talk about some of the different projects. What do you look for? What are the things, there's good players and there's bad players in this space. And so what do you look for? And ultimately, how is the debt box changing the entire cryptocurrency industry? So let's get right into it. So first of all, disclaimer. Cryptocurrency, crypto products, and NFTs are unregulated and they can be highly risky. There may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from transactions. You should know that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Anything that I share with you tonight is strictly my opinion. Please do your own due diligence. Go seek out your expert advisors. And of course, past performance does not guarantee future results. If I could add a few more things to that, I would say, you know what? Leaving your money in the bank account today is risky in some cases, right? I mean, has anybody seen what's happened to the stock market in 2022? How are those portfolios doing for you guys in the stock market right now? You guys realize that $4 trillion has been wiped out in retiree funds this year alone. So of course, there's no guarantees in anything that you do, but there are things that you can do to hedge risk, right? To minimize risk factors. And that starts with educating yourself. So we've got centralized and we've got decentralized. Centralized, of course, is having, an institution, having the banks, having the merchants, having our government in the middle of our transactions and everything that we do. I had somebody that was sending a wire from the other side of the country just a few days ago. And they went in and they were sending a large amount of money. They were sending $100,000. And this individual said, you would have thought that I was a drug lord. The amount of questions and the amount of paperwork that I had to fill out and the amount of answers that I had to give. And finally, after all of the scrutiny, they finally agreed to go ahead and send my money. And not only that, the fees were outrageous to be able to send that amount of money. And they said, I wish I would have just gone and purchased Bitcoin and sent it because, I could send $100,000 to the other side of the world right now in Bitcoin. It would be there within a few minutes. It would have cost me less than $1, probably about 35, 45 cents. So the speed, the efficiency is the reason why people are excited about having a centralized currency. If you take a look at the adoption rates and you compare them to, let's say, the adoption rates of cryptocurrency versus the internet, it's actually very interesting. You go back to when the internet first started and you look at the progression over the course of the last 10 years, over the last 15 years, you see the adoption rate continuing to climb. And if you look at what's happening in the space right now with blockchain wallet users, and you look at the growth, it's almost parallel to that of internet users in the world today. We don't have to look very far to see global adoption. Just about everywhere we look today, people are now transacting in cryptocurrency, or at their very least, they're accepting cryptocurrency. I remember just a couple of years ago, the news media, they love to create fear and uncertainty and doubt. And you got to ask yourself sometimes, why do they like to do that? Who's behind the media and what do they gain from driving that fear and uncertainty and doubt and driving prices down and getting people to sell at a loss, right? Well, somebody's loss is somebody else's gain, right? So you have to ask yourself those questions. But it was interesting because all of the banks were targeting cryptocurrency. Just a few years ago, you had JP Morgan that came out in a newsletter and they warned all of their investors. They said, listen, cryptocurrency is not a real currency. It is not backed by anything. We do not support it, and we do not recommend that you get involved with it. They took a major stand against it. You had Goldman Sachs, the CEO, that was out doing press conferences, warning investors to stay away from cryptocurrency. Guys, this is literally a few years ago. What are they doing now? Do you guys realize that in a matter of a couple of years, JP Morgan just removed real estate as their recommended alternative asset class, and they replaced it with cryptocurrency in a matter of a couple of years? You have Goldman Sachs. Anybody paying attention to what they're doing right now? They are now buying up cryptocurrency exchanges. They're getting involved. Major hedge funds are now bringing in cryptocurrency because they know where it's going. Anybody watch the Super Bowl just last year? How many commercials did you see with cryptocurrency? We now see major stadiums with crypto.com on the sidelines. So the adoption rate has been very impressive, and we continue to see it exponentially growing. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, do you believe over the next 5 years that cryptocurrency is going to be more popular or less popular? Do you think that more people are going to be getting involved with digital currency or less people are getting involved? And that ultimately establishes what I believe is opportunity. Because again, one of the best success formulas that I know is to figure out where people are going and get there faster. Now, with the good, there's also the bad. We are still a relatively new currency. And anytime that there's something new and there's something that is explosive and it's exponentially growing, it attracts all kinds of different players. And so there are good players and there are bad players in the cryptocurrency space. And if you go back and you look at the last few bull runs, you'll find that a lot of those bull runs were driven by speculation. They were driven by a lot of hype. They were driven by meme coins that had pictures of dogs to snails to foxes on the cover of the coins, and they had somebody tweeting about it, and all of a sudden, you know, the mass hysteria started in the Reddit, online on Reddit, and then all of a sudden, you know, people started talking about it, and then all of a sudden these things started going up, and people felt the FOMO, right? The FOMO kicked in, and I got to be honest, I drop an I in the comments section if you've got sucked into a couple of those coins at one point or another. I know I'm not the only one. And so we all going, oh my gosh, this coin went up 1,000%. Too, I got to get in on it right now. Well, here's the thing that happens. So they go hire the Kardashians. They go hire, you know, Floyd Mayweather or other athletes and celebrities to promote these tokens and coins. But what they don't tell you is the amount of coins that were given to these individuals to be able to go and promote these tokens or these coins. And so what happens is the value goes up, and then the owners and those individuals that were promoting it dump all of their tokens. And then what happens to the value? The value comes crashing down. And a lot of people get stuck holding these coins, praying that they come back. And so we've seen a lot of that. There's been a lot of pump and dumps that are in this space where there's projects that have no utility. They have no real world value, no purpose. It is 100% hype. And I'm going to tell you right now, fast cash equals fast crash. I'm going to say it again. Fast cash equals fast crash. So we've seen a lot of pump and dumps. You have a lot of liquidity pools. So what does that mean? So you have a lot of ICOs, these projects that come out and they say, listen, I'll tell you what, Bob, if you invest $100,000, we're going to give you 10 million of our coins. Now, they're not worth anything today, but Bob, we're going to build this blockchain that's going to change the world. And not only that, but you know what, we're going to be on all of these different exchanges. And as soon as we start hitting these exchanges, Bob, the value of your coin is going to go up 1,000 times %. And you are going to be just completely wealthy beyond all imagination. Bob says, man, this sounds like a great deal. So Bob puts in $100,000. Unfortunately, more often than not, the individuals that are behind these projects don't deliver. It's always about what they're going to do. We're going to be on this exchange. We're going to build this blockchain. We're going to have the liquidity. We're going to launch this project in just a few more months, And sadly, many of us have had to learn through the hard way what to look for when it comes to these projects. Just little things like, when you get involved with a project, is the smart contract actually on the blockchain? Is there real liquidity so that if you want to cash in your tokens in the middle of the night, can you do it? Or do you have to go somewhere like Uniswap and pray that there is somebody that's wanting to buy the token that you were trying to sell? So you start to learn, what to look for. So we've seen a lot of these liquidity pools, these limiting sell orders where you unfortunately have restrictions on being able to sell for a period of time, or there's just simply no place to sell at all. And so when you look at that, here's what I believe. I believe that the future of the industry, the future bull runs that we are going to see are going to be less speculative. They're going to be more full of substance. They're going to be looking for tangible products to get involved with. And that's exactly what we see here when it comes to the debt box. Now, we've got a big problem. And it's a problem that's been happening for the last, 50 years. What's the value of the dollar doing these days? What's the value of the dollar doing these days? It's just continually going down and down and down. And the government's solution to the challenges that we face today is to continue to print more money. If you go look up the Federal Reserve, they use this word to describe fiat currency. It's flexible. They're flexible. When it comes to the amount of currency that's in circulation, we're flexible. If we need to print some more money, we'll just keep printing more money. Unfortunately, what does that do to the overall value? Hey, we're in a bind, let's just give everybody money. What does that do to the overall value of your dollar? We're seeing the results of that right now. We're living in it. For the last 50 years, we have lost 86% of our value. 86%. So we're living in interesting times, because the question, a friend of mine, when I first heard about the debt box, a friend of mine called me and he said, listen, what are you doing with your capital right now? Because, you could go put it in, you can put it in a checking or savings account. Well, I got to tell you guys something. I've never met anyone that has gotten wealthy or built true wealth investing in their savings account. Never met anybody that's built true wealth investing in their savings account. And especially when we're sitting on 9-10% inflation rates, some could argue that it's actually much higher than 9-10%. You incorporate things like shrinkflation into the mix, and the numbers are a little bit higher. You know what shrinkflation is? You go to the grocery store, you buy your groceries. This just happened to me last night. Some of you guys know I love to cook. Made chicken parmesan last night, had a little side salad, the little bags of salad that you buy. And I go to open up my salad and I pour the bag into a bowl, and it's like half of a salad now. It's not even one salad. It's not enough to feed a whole family. You got to go buy 2 or 3. But here's the thing. The price of the bag of the salad is just the same as it was when it was 3 times as large. So what happens is you add in shrinkflation, inflation numbers are even higher. Gas pump, you keep throwing in all of these things into the equation. And the reality is that we're being pinched. And if you're keeping your money in a savings or checking account, you're essentially losing money. You could go invest in the stock market. Well, I have many friends that are calling me right now saying, listen, I've got to diversify. I know that eventually the stock market always comes back around, but the reality is that, some of us don't necessarily want to play the 30 to 40 year game. We're looking for other opportunities and ways to be able to put our capital to work than just relying on the stock market as a whole. The housing market is another one that you could look at right now. Well, the housing market is largely overinflated. So where do you put your capital in the environment that we're in? And that's essentially why I decided to take a look at DebtBox. It's why I decided to first become an investor here with this project, because I'm excited about the idea of real world value projects. And that's exactly what DebtBox is doing. Let me give you just a little history of this company. So the company's 2 years old, but the story goes way back beyond 2 years. So Jason and Jake Anderson are the founders of DebtBox. They started off in flipping homes, and they did a couple of flips, and they realized that after those flips were done, that the person that did the hard money lending actually made more money than them, and they did all the work. And so he said, I want to be on that side of the table. So he went out and he raised some capital, and eventually that led to a venture capital that he started managing, venture capital company, and then he started managing a hedge fund. He then went over to Africa, and he spent 10 years over there mining. And when I say mining, I'm talking about mining oil, mining gold, and other precious metals. And they developed a very strong relationship over there. They built relationships with the royalty families and eventually the king and the government that's over there. And the way that they did it is they would go in and they would mine a project. And when they were done, they would go plant thousands of trees. When they would find water, they would donate it to the local villages. And so they started to gain the respect. In comparison, you had a lot of other mining companies that would come in from China. They would strip mine the land and they would completely leave it depleted. And so they built this really strong reputation over there. And along the way, they were introduced to a scan technology. The scan technology has the ability to be able to scan the earth and identify pockets of oil and other commodities that are in the ground, but not just identify them. It has the ability to be able to pinpoint that oil to within 6 centimeters in the ground. 6 centimeters. Now, here's why that's highly valuable, because oil companies, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars in exploratory costs, hundreds of millions of dollars. They're drilling a lot of wells that are dry. You know, I was just in Nebraska last week. You'll see some pictures here later on in that presentation, or in this presentation, where we were at one of our mining sites. And I was listening to an engineer, a 40-year veteran of the industry, who has run projects for some of the biggest oil companies in the world. And he said, you realize that upwards of 90% of the wells that are drilled in the world today are actually dry. And he said, so this technology has the ability to be able to revolutionize the entire oil and gas industry as a whole. So they took this technology that they invested in, that they have the proprietary rights to a smaller oil company. And they said, listen, we can save you a lot of money. Partner with us. All we want is royalties on whatever we help you find. And so the first well that they found was actually in Nevada. The well was drilled in the 50s and 60s. They thought it had gone dry. And with this new technology, they found a chamber that had 400 million barrels of oil in it. From that point, they found over 16 different targets in Nebraska on a piece of farmland that's 10,000 acres wide and 10,000 acres. And then from there, they have been able to establish different targets throughout Africa as well, other sites in Texas also. So they've been able to establish these relationships with these oil companies. It's been a very profitable project for them. You know, because of their background in oil and in finance and in cryptocurrency, they said, you know, we want to introduce a token that is backed by the oil, and more specifically, the profitability from the oil sales from all of our different debt partners. And we want to be able to introduce that as something tangible, similar to the way that the dollar used to be before it was removed from the gold standard. And so they introduced their first project called Black Gold on November 1 of 2021. And Black Gold was one of the success stories, one of the major success stories of last year. It went up over 120,000%. It has created over 300 liquid millionaires since it's launched, with over 1,000 people that have a 7-figure portfolio or higher that they are still currently holding at this point in time. They've created a millionaire every 3 days inside of their ecosystem. But they didn't just want to stop with the oil. What their vision was to build an entire ecosystem that was backed by these commodities, these commodities that are in high demand. And so where there's oil, there's also natural gas. And not just natural gas, but regenerative natural gas, because it's a byproduct of the drilling process. So they launched another project called NatG, and NatG exploded. NatG took off, and that launched on May 1st. And now we're seeing some of the benefits of that. And how many of you guys were kind of having some fun watching that here just this weekend? It was a lot of fun to watch, right? A lot of excitement for the NatG owners over the weekend. They've launched a number of other projects, and we're going to be talking about some of those here just a little bit later on in the presentation. But the idea here is that they are introducing, they're really setting a precedence inside of the cryptocurrency space that says, listen, we are looking for real world. We want substance over hype. Sorry, I got somebody that's unmuted. All right, there we go. We want substance over hype, and we want tangibility. And that's exactly what they're all about. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to play just a little video for you here. And real quickly, let me go ahead and set this up here so that you guys can hear it. Stop sharing for 1 second. There we go. Bear with me. I didn't optimize the sound, so it would have been choppy for you guys. All right. So I want to just introduce you to the debt box.
Blockchain is redefining how we operate as a society, from supply chain to payment solutions. But the multi-step, profound essence of the technology also creates conditions that add confusion to the cryptosphere, sometimes feeling like opportunities are reserved for the upper elite. Revolution occurs when the physical and digital converge at a single point, where a whirlwind of ideas demolishes old concepts and builds something new amidst the ruins. Introducing the decentralized, eco-friendly blockchain technology, known as the DEPT ecosystem. DEPT is a vertically integrated, all-inclusive and home-based solution to blockchain complexities. All of the projects are unique in that each one is supported by or linked to a specific sector in the commodities market. Moreover, the collision of crypto and precious natural resources have generated a token that binds the entire system together. This is where crypto meets commodities. The DEPT token is the central support and utility token for the DEPT ecosystem. It features a growing list of token projects that will both swap pairing with the DEPT token. Other ecosystem projects are deflationary, with transfer fees to support the network, discouraging frequent trading. Because of this, ecosystem token holders will be encouraged to transfer their project token value to the DEPT token before transferring and using it for trading and liquidity. Given its central role on the platform, the DEPT token will generate increased demand as more and more projects enter the ecosystem and projects mature. At its core, the DEPT ecosystem collectively gathers all sectors in the commodities market. Black Gold, or BGLD, is a revolutionary blockchain project based on the physical production and sale of crude oil. Natural gas, or NATG, is an innovative blockchain project designed to streamline efficiencies in the world of exploration and is working to enhance the physical production and sale of natural gas. Crow's groundbreaking technology fosters participation in the growing industry of high-yield agricultural products. Digital linked metals, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, use cutting-edge technology to locate and extract rare precious earth metals. Along with our partners, both foreign and domestic, we ensure every metal token is linked with its physical counterpart. With many more projects on the horizon, the main goal of the DEPT ecosystem is to present complex commodities markets to you in a way that is easy to both understand and participate in, rewarding you for your support. The DEPT ecosystem is where crypto meets commodities. We are committed to projects that empower you, influence history, discover unexplored territory, shift perceptions with the deadbox.com.
All right. So in the chat, I'd love to know your favorites. Any favorites out there? Who's a favorite of Black Gold, Nat G, Grow, Aluminum? Love to see what are the favorites out there right now. Nat G, Tony's liking Nat G. Thaddeus is liking Nat G as well. Oh, a lot of Nat G in the house tonight. Nat G and aluminum. Susan, I like aluminum a lot. Nat G seems to be excited, all of them. It's a very exciting project because, again, it's the first in the world to be doing what they're doing right now. But a lot of Nat G fans out there. All right, so let's keep it going here. So, we've got a number of different projects. We've got a number of different projects that are in development. In fact, I can tell you that we have over a dozen that are in development. People always ask, well, tell me, can you give me a little hint? Can you give me a little hint? If you're looking for a hint on some of the future projects, then I encourage you to go watch the 30-minute video by our chief geologist and listen to him talk about some of the other gases and some of the other things that they come across, because you'll get some clues on some of the future projects that'll be coming out as well. So how does it all work? This is a very complex conversation. I mean, we talk about mining, and I got to admit this. The first time that I heard the term mining, I was like, what do you mean mining? Like, is there somebody in a cave somewhere mining? I had no clue what mining meant. I had no clue. In fact, cryptocurrency has its own language, and it does take a little bit of time to adapt, and that's okay. So I want you to know that if you're new and you don't understand all of this, that's okay, because what DEPT has done is they have taken a very complex conversation and they've been able to simplify it into a pretty easy to understand basis. So let's talk a little bit about what is a node. A node is kind of a funny word. I was talking to somebody yesterday and she said, I don't even know what a node is. So let's talk a little bit about that. So first of all, when you go to the bank, you have to, you're paying with a debit card or credit card. If you're at a restaurant or if you're, wherever, gas station, you swipe your card. What happens? You wait for a minute and you kind of wait and kind of goes off into the space somewhere. And then all of a sudden, hopefully you get the approval back, right? There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than standing at the grocery line and your card does not go through and there's people behind you. I'm just telling you. But so you get the approval. Well, where did the approval come from? Like who's this person that said, yeah, let's approve this, right? These are third party. These are credit card merchants that get that signal, and ultimately they check with your bank to verify that the funds are there, and then they send the approval back to the merchant that essentially guarantees that they're going to get paid. For doing that, they get a transaction fee every single time that happens, right? So that's part of this whole centralized currency system that we are accustomed to. Now, you might think, well, I don't pay that transaction fee, but you do. They just pass it along to you in the costs of everything that we buy. So what if there was a decentralized currency that didn't have banks to validate transactions? There would have to be some way to validate. And that's exactly what mining nodes do. When somebody initiates a transaction, what's happening is that transaction then goes to the node holders, the licensees that have the node holders, and those node holders, and all a node is software or hardware. It can even be your computer. And all it does is it has a pre-programmed algorithm. You don't do anything. It's all done automated. And it processes that transaction. Okay, so what it's doing is there's rules on each blockchain. And all it's doing is it's following the rules. It's enforcing the protocol. And these transactions must pass through these nodes as they validate the transaction. And then what ends up happening is some of the nodes will contain the full transaction history. And ultimately, in the end, when the transaction is verified, a reward is paid. And those rewards are divided up evenly among the node holders. So in basic terms, you're essentially serving as the merchant, except it's passive. I don't sit here all day long looking at my computer, waiting for another transaction to come up. It's done automatically. In fact, I do cloud mining. You can also choose to have the box sent to you, which is going to be something that those boxes are going to be going out soon. And you'll have the option to have one or the other. One box has the ability to hang 20 licenses on the box. They're extremely eco-friendly. They run about $3, $4 of electricity every single month, which is phenomenal. Or you can choose to cloud mine. We use Amazon servers for cloud mining. So you can have the choice between the two. So that's essentially what mining is. You're helping to validate transactions on the blockchain. We use the Binance blockchain for our projects. So many of our projects, when we first started, were paired with BNB. Now we're pairing to our own coin, to our own debt coin. But just to give you a visual, because I'm a visual person, Joe, I know you're a visual person. We were talking about that. So transaction is requested. A block that represents the transaction is created. The block is sent to every node in the network. Those nodes validate the transaction, and then the nodes receive a reward for the proof of work. Then ultimately, the block is now added to the blockchain, and then the transaction is complete. And so the rewards are divided evenly among the different node holders. So that's what's happening in the cryptocurrency space. This is happening on every blockchain. So the question is, well, how do I know which projects to get involved with? And that's where it comes back to looking at, is it speculative or is it tangible? Are they doing the same things that they say they're going to do? Are they on the exchanges already? So I'm very excited to report that we've been listed on 5 different exchanges just this month. To give you some validation, to go through the process to be able to get on an exchange, the owners have to go through a scrutinous process. They have to go through background checks. They have to prove their liquidity. Some of these exchanges require more trading volume than others. And so as we continue to march towards Binance, that's our goal by the end of the year, what's happened is some of you have seen our trading volume go up significantly. Why is that? Because now we have just crossed a major threshold. We've sold over 1 million licenses around the world in 19 different countries. We are now trading at $7.5 million per day in trading volume. So 5 different exchanges this month. We may or may not be making an announcement in the next couple of days about another one that was just added. One of the more recent exchanges was L Bank, which is the 16th largest exchange in the world. We were listed on L Bank just a couple of weeks ago, in the top 10 coins by volume at that time. So there's a lot of things to look at here from a validation standpoint in comparison to some of the things that we were talking about a little bit earlier on. So let's talk about some of these different projects. So first of all, Black Gold. That was our proof of concept coin. Black Gold is now sold out, so it is not available. One of the really neat things about our projects is once there's a limited supply of license. Each project has a limited supply of tokens. We don't use that word flexible here. So once the licenses are sold out, it takes about 90 days, and then the license converts to an NFT, a non-fungible token. And that NFT, because it has its own individual digital address, it's kind of like having digital real estate is the best way to describe NFTs. And it can be artwork, it can be all kinds of different things. But it converts to an NFT with real market value, and you have the ability to be able to go and sell these NFTs in the marketplace. So Black Gold, we were selling at $6,000 a couple of weeks ago. We sold out, and it was retailing at $52,000, then $60,000 before debt eventually sold out as well. So BGLD is obviously in high demand. It's a project that people are very excited about. We are continually adding more partners that want to participate in our scan technology, wanting us as an exploratory partner. What's exciting about all of our projects is when we launch these projects, we establish the amount of tokens based on the amount of partners that we have, and more specifically, in this case, the amount of oil that we had. But as we start to bring on more partners, that increases the overall profitability, but we don't go back and add more tokens, and we don't go back and add more licenses. So that profitability contributes to the overall tokenomics of that project. So that creates tremendous potential moving forward. Each one of our smart contracts is valid for 4,000 days, so a little over 10 years. The licenses are perpetual. So what does that mean? It means that if we continue to bring on partners, and in this case with Black Gold, just using that as an example, let's say that we bring on a partner 5 years from now that has enough oil to drill on long beyond that 10-year period, those licenses are perpetual, which means it keeps going. So it has real world value. So not only are you receiving daily rewards, and I'm going to give you an example of that here in just a moment, but you have an NFT, a digital asset that has real world value. There are other projects that are out there in the marketplace. Some of you may be aware of the project that I'm talking about. I'm not going to throw the name out there, but the licenses started out at $1,000. Today, those same licenses are $100,000. And that particular project is not even producing what we are producing here right now. So there are lots of different examples of how these licenses can turn to NFTs out there in the marketplace. NatG, as you saw in the chat, people are very excited about this project. The tokenomics are the exact same as BGLD. We actually have, just so you know, out of all of our different projects, this by far, we have more volume by dollar amount than any other project in our entire ecosystem. Just at the site that we were on in Nebraska last week, we have $1.7 trillion in natural gas in that one particular location. We just have to get to it. It takes a little bit longer to get down 17,000 feet, so it takes a little bit longer to extract. But NatG has a lot of upside potential, and people are very excited about that. Then, of course, we have Grow. Grow is all about high yielding agriculture. So we're talking about things like soybean. We're talking about hemp. We're talking about cocoa beans. One of the things that happens underneath the Grow project is we have a team that helps farmers become certified, carbon certified. So we actually use our scan technology. We scan their lands. We are able to identify how many crops are on that particular designated piece of land. And each crop has a dollar value. And we help them through that process of becoming certified. They love it. It's free money to them. Once they become certified, they can now sell carbon credits. Well, guess who buys carbon credits? Oil companies, because they have to offset the footprint that they have in the world today. So it would make sense that if you're going to allow people to use your scan technology, that you're going to require them to buy carbon credits from these farmers. So all of that drives the profitability on the growth side. And carbon credits are big business right now. We have DLG, which this is one of our deliverable projects. So as you heard in the video, all of our metals are backed by actual gold, actual silver. So, and when I say backed by gold, I have to be clear on this because there's not a lot. There's a few projects out there that are claiming that they're backed by gold. But if you do the research, the gold is still in the ground. It's in a mine. And what happens is a lot of times, depending on where the gold is, depending on the type of ground that is there, sometimes it's not profitable to pull that gold out of the particular mine. It would cost too much money. And so these people that own these wells and these mines, what they'll do is they'll lease the mines to individuals, and they can now utilize that mine to say, our project is backed by gold. Well, it's gold, but it's not gold that's sitting in a vault. So our gold is actually bullion that's sitting in a vault. You can exchange your tokens and have them send you gold if that is what you would like. So your downside risk is protected here, because even if the value of that token goes down, you can still request that gold is sent to you. And whatever gold is selling for, which historically has a pretty good job of holding value, you're protected. So that's what we call a deliverable. A non-deliverable would be oil and gas. You know, Susan, I know that you want a barrel of oil sent to you, but we just can't do it. We cannot send you the barrel of oil or the natural gas. So that's more of a non-deliverable. Now, our gold project is going to be a little bit more on the conservative side. Why? Because your downside risk is protected. So why do we do that? Because we're giving you an opportunity to build a portfolio here. Think along the lines that if you went to see a financial advisor and you were going to invest in a hedge fund, you know, the advisor would probably say to you, let's look at your risk versus reward tolerance. You know, let's look at your goals. Let's look at all these things and let's develop a portfolio that's balanced. We're going to put some that's in more conservative and we're going to put some in a little more aggressive. What we're doing is giving you an ecosystem that allows you to be able to build a similar portfolio, but not just an ecosystem, the world's first ecosystem in the cryptocurrency space that's backed by real world commodities that are all in high demand. Now, you guys saw that aluminum is very popular right now. There's a lot of aluminum fans out there. Aluminum is one of our newer projects that was just introduced. One of the benefits of getting involved in a project in the early stages is that you get in during what's called the accumulation phase. So when you get in the beginning stages, there's less node holders online to share those rewards with. So in the beginning stages of Black Gold, just using this as an example, the people that got involved in Black Gold on day one license was paying 84,000 Black Gold tokens per day. 84,000. Today, Black Gold is paying 2,000 tokens per day, which is still fantastic. But what's happened? The value has gone up. More node holders are online. So overall, the tokens start to come down. If you had a debt licenses are sold out now. There was a minimum amount of debt licenses. There's only, if you have one of those licenses, I do, I get one token a day. But the value of that token is $20, right? So it all just depends on what stage the project is in. So aluminum is in the beginning stages. It was just launched. It would just hit the exchange. It just came online about 3 weeks ago. So you have an opportunity to be able to get involved with a project that we are partnered with one of the largest bauxite mining companies in the world. They're in Africa. They produce about 1.2 million tons of aluminum every single year. They're increasing their production to 5 million tons, and they've hired us as their exploratory partner to help them do that. So the profitability of the royalties that come from that additional 3.8 million tons of aluminum will support this particular project. Now, what's neat about this project is they're already mining. The operation is already in place. So the tokenomics have already started to kick in here. So this is a fun project. And then Explorer, a lot of people are really excited about this project. So it's still in its infancy. Up to this point, we have leased space on satellites. In fact, we've used Google satellites, the same satellites that bring you Google Maps. That's the same satellites that we use for our scan technology. It costs $75,000 every time that we run a scan. So what we're doing is we have partnered with Boeing and Google and SpaceX to build our own satellite. They're actually building it right now. And we are launching that satellite in approximately 6 months. We'll be having a big launch party. Those of you that want to come and participate and be there when it launches, that'd be a lot of fun. But this will be the first cryptocurrency that's backed by a satellite in space. It'll now cost us $3,000 to run those scans. So that profitability goes and feeds back into the project. But we also now will allow others to be able to lease space on our satellite. So, and one thing that you might not know about this project is it's also the launching ground for our up and coming projects. So we may have projects that are already underway, and there's already profitability coming in from some of these projects, but we have not yet launched those tokens. Well, where do we report those profits? Where do those profits, how do we, what project do we attribute them to? They all are attributed to Explorer. Why? Because Explorer is the scan technology that makes all of these projects possible. So you have some different options in getting involved in some of these projects. Projects are all at different stages when it comes to price points. So Explorer is $1,250, which is a phenomenal price point. Aluminum is $1,500 and DLG is $1,500. So these three are our most recent projects that we've launched. And it's a great opportunity to be able to load up on some licenses, because what happens is, as the projects mature, as the tokenomics kick in, as more node holders come online, as more people start to transact, as the trading volume goes up, the value of those licenses also goes up as well. So this is a great opportunity to be able to get on some of these licenses. Black Gold came out at $2,000 when it first launched, and it wrapped at 60-something thousand is when it closed out. So you guys have been around, some of you have been around long enough to see that NatG is starting to inch its way up. And along with that, you're starting to see some of the excitement that comes along with that. NatG, by the way, for those of you that haven't followed it along, we launched that project at 0.00001. 5 zeros and a 1 on May 1st. Today we're at 0.000. I think we were right at around 7.0. I think we got into the 8s over the weekend. And that was an 8,600% increase since May 1st. Now, let me ask you a question. What is the rest of the cryptocurrency industry doing right now? We're in a crypto winter, and most of those projects are not reporting 8,600% increases in 90 days. That is the difference between speculation versus substance. That is the difference between real world stored value. And that is why so many people are excited about our projects. So I want to show you guys, we took a trip out to Nebraska. And what's cool for me is my son, there's my son and I at the top. Chandler's with me. Chandler's 22 years old. He loves cryptocurrency. This is all he does full time, makes a great living. Mining cryptocurrency. He actually heard about Black Gold when it first launched back in November, almost bought some nodes and chose not to, and now he regrets it. But it's been fun for me because if you look at the millennials, the up and coming, they transact in digital currency. He kind of makes fun of me. He calls me a boomer, and he says, Dad, you transact with fiat currency. But everything I have is in digital currency. So they understand this is the world that they're growing up in. And so that tells you where the future is going. So you can either choose to learn about it now or be left behind later, because it's coming regardless if you want to be a part of it or not. So we had a chance to go to Nebraska and visit this mining rig. The pictures don't do it justice. I'm going to play a little just quick video here so you can see it. This is 104 feet tall. It's the largest rig in the United States. We believe that we have come across what's called a dolomite on this particular site, which is an ancient sand ground that's underground that produces some of the largest oil wells in the world. There's only 2 in the United States. Saudi Arabia, what made Saudi Arabia, and they're famous for, are the dolomite that they found that had enough oil to be able to extract for the next 100 years. And they believe that they've now hit a dolomite here with 1,600 acres of oil and gas underground. It'll be confirmed in the coming days ahead. And ultimately, if that is the case, which is why they brought in this size well, it'll be the largest operation in the United States. So I'm going to give you, and these pictures don't do it justice how big this is. So let me just show you a little tour of this.
So this is the largest oil drill that you can buy. These are the same ones that Exxon and the big oil giants are using to drill down. And it runs 24 hours, has 18 people, 12-hour shifts, they're rotating. And I don't know if you can see it yet, but right on the side there, you can see the black gold VGLD, baby. And this is just one of the projects that is backed, or that is the crypto company that's backed by real world commodities. It's just incredible to see.
So it's fun to be able to go here and to be able to bring this kind of footage back to our members, because it's more and more validation. Some of you guys have started to see me release some of the interviews that we did with the engineer. I released one, there's only a 2-minute clip of it, but this morning I released a clip of an engineer, the 40-year veteran that has run projects. He's the site manager here, came out of retirement, and he tells this story. He says, when I first got a call, and he points to the guy who developed our scan technology. He says, when he first called me and told me that they had the ability to be able to find oil in the ground within centimeters, I told him that he was full of what. And he actually tells the story. And he said, in this particular site, he said that we would find our first payload at 7,460 feet. And as soon as they hit 7,460 feet, they struck oil on this well. He said, I came out of retirement and I will follow this man anywhere because of this technology. So it's pretty remarkable, and it's fun because it's validation. It's not speculation. This is really happening. And that is why we're all excited. I get goosebumps even telling you about it. It was just a fun thing to be a part of. For those of you that want to do a little bit more research, go over to thedebtbox.com and go down to the bottom, click on more info. And then you can see where you can click on the light papers for each project and read all about the tokenomics. Tokenomics is just a fancy word for the economics of each project. What's that? So again, you can go and read all about these different projects as well. We do have an info group on Facebook, and you can go check that out, Debt Info Group, and we just continue to pour in and educate about these different projects and keeping everyone updated on where they are. So you can go and check those out as well. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go into my back office here real quickly. By the way, that's the first time I've done that slide deck. It's a new slide deck, so I'm still playing with it a little bit, but hope you guys got some good value out of it. So I am going to go to I want you guys to see the ecosystem and the wallets that are created for people that buy nodes, for node holders. Now, I have to say this disclosure one more time, disclaimer one more time. What I'm about to show you, past performance does not guarantee future performance. These are not income claims. These are my real world examples of kind of just what I've experienced since I have been involved for a couple of months now. But I want you guys just to kind of see the depth that they have gone to when it comes to the wallets and the environment that they have created. So when you first log in, you can kind of see what's happening with the tokens in the last few hours. It updates every few hours. And you can see whether they're up, whether they're down. A lot of people ask, they don't understand, why do you see some downward motion or downward momentum as opposed to upward momentum? Where does that come from? Well, there's a lot of different reasons, but a lot of times what will happen is let's take NatG, for example. NatG had a phenomenal weekend. I mean, I was getting calls and texts from everybody going, are you looking at it now? Are you looking at it now? And I mean, literally within a period of 24 hours, the same amount of tokens in my back office went up by $4,000 in value. That's the excitement of getting involved in a project and accumulating tokens. It's not so much about the dollar amount that you're earning each day right now. It's about the total amount of tokens that you can accumulate, because you can see those upward swings very quickly. And so, but what happens is a lot of times, as you see that happen, we have node holders in 19 different countries. A lot of these countries are in third world countries. And so what happens is a lot of people will liquidate and they will sell, and it puts downward pressure, and then it'll eventually, the selling will stop and it kind of levels out. And if you think about Bitcoin, if you look historically at Bitcoin, it's cyclical. So what happens is you'll see it go up to a new high. How many of you guys, I remember distinctly when it went from $13 to $300 thinking, oh, why did I not buy Bitcoin before it went to $300? Now I'm never going to buy it. $300 a coin? Are you kidding me? Then what did it do? It went to 1,300. And I remember the feeling going, there's no way I'm going to buy some digital coin that you can't even hold in your hand for $1,300. Then what did it do? It went to $3,000. But here's the thing. Every time that it hit a new high, then it was followed by a downward, the downward pressure that eventually everyone loves to call the crash, right? Every time it goes down, where we're in a crypto winter, like we're in right now, all of the skeptics come out. I told you so. I told you to stay away from it. It's too volatile. Don't invest in that stuff. Well, let me ask you, what is the stock market doing right now? It's cyclical. It's no different. It's a newer currency, so it might happen a little more frequently. But if those swings weren't happening, let me tell you something. We wouldn't be here, because that's what creates the opportunity. Because you build wealth in a bear market with the decisions that you make in a bear market. You acquire that wealth in a bull market. So congratulations, we're in a bear market. The question you should be asking yourself is, how can I accumulate as much token as I possibly can in this bear market? Because we know, historically speaking, what's going to happen. So what we should be paying attention to with Bitcoin is not even so much the highs. Yes, it was fun to see Bitcoin hit $69,000 this last bull run. Crazy, right? But what we should be paying attention to are those lows. Right now, we're in a low at 20,000. Do you realize 4 years ago, people would have been begging for Bitcoin to hit 20,000? So you see that on a mini scale with these tokens that kind of fluctuate. And non-deliverable tokens tend to fluctuate a little bit more. But what you need to do is you need to zoom out. Because it wasn't too long ago that NatG baseline, we started out at 0.5 zeros and a 1, then it went up to 4 zeros, and then pretty soon now to 3 zeros. And even the last month and a half, we were at that 0.00039, 0.00042. I'm getting text messages from people around the world. Hey, what's going on with NatG? And I'm reminding everyone that it's 60 days in, and that we just started drilling, and that it takes time for the transactions to happen, the tokenomics to kick in, for the burns to kick in, right? Where they take the profits from their partners and buy up token in the ecosystem and send it to the burn wallet. That takes time. We burned our first burn on 8/1. Congratulations, you just saw the result of what happened on our first burn. So now where is the baseline? We're at that almost set 0.0007. This is not a guarantee. I'm telling everybody that. Do not take this as a guarantee. But my opinion, will probably drop another zero fairly soon. That's just my opinion. No guarantees. So you log into your back office here and you can see what's going on. You've got your portfolio balance, you've got rewards, and then you've got your different licenses that you have. And you can click, oh, this is not even my, oh, there it is. Okay. So you can click on your licenses. So I'm going to click on, I have 10 NatG licenses. So you click on the 10 NatG licenses, and you can see in real time the tokens that are being deposited into your account, the rewards that are being deposited into your account. So I withdraw usually every other couple days. You can withdraw very easily. You go right here and you click withdraw and just click the withdrawal button. You have to have a minimum of 250 in value to be able to do that. And what happens when you withdraw it is it goes right in here into your own secure wallet that only you have access to. It's no longer in even debts access. You are in full control of the funds, the tokens. So you can see this number here is going up in real time. That's tokens that are currently being deposited into my account. You can see that, yes, in the last 24 hours, I mined 182,000 tokens, $134 worth of NatG. Current cycle, what we're in right now today, cycles, by the way, start over at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So just started, and I've mined about 15,000 tokens so far. You can see the value right now. We're kind of went down into the 0.0006s today. We're back up to the 7.4 already. So you can kind of get an idea of what's going on, or even what the license is paying today. Now, does that guarantee that it's going to pay this indefinitely? No, because as more and more node holders can come online, just like with black gold, that number can go down. But if what's happening, if that number goes down and the value is going up, right? So to me, what I am focused on is accumulation right now, token accumulation. So let me give you an example. So if you go to my natural gas, I have about 15 million tokens, started mining about 2 months ago. Today's value is about $11,400 worth of NatG. I don't really, I mean, this is cool, but I'm not focused on that number at all. Why? Because I know, I believe in the project. I believe in where this particular project is going. And I have my idea of where that coin potentially could go. And let's say that it were to hit a penny. I'd be celebrating. If it were to hit a dime, I'd be really celebrating. If it were hit $1, I will be drinking out of a coconut somewhere on an island. So that's why the potential is why we're all here. But I'd rather have the potential with a project that's backed by real world commodities than the potential with some speculative coin that somebody's tweeting about and can manipulate the market up and down whenever they want. So that's why I'm here. So you can see the different wallets that are here. You can go in and check all of those out. You can look at your goals. One of the things that I want to point out here, people say, well, how do I know that you're really mining? This is really important. So there are projects that are out there right now. I have friends, I've talked to them this week, some of them that are involved in projects that they cannot find their smart contracts on the blockchain. Essentially what's happening is they're doing something called spreadsheet mining. Spreadsheet mining is simply somebody that's got a spreadsheet that's adjusting how much that you earn based on what they think that you should earn, but there's no real proof of what your node is producing. So here are all the individual licenses. This is what allows us to be able to, this is my digital real estate. This is what allows me to be able to have an NFT when these licenses sell out. You can check these on the blockchain. We have full liquidity. We're on 8 or 9 exchanges. We're getting ready to bring another one on. Every one of those exchanges, they have to go through a severe background check where the SEC is looking into their background, looking into their liquidity, looking into their finances before they're ultimately approved on these exchanges. So those are the things that you are looking for. So this is our, our back office, so to speak, that you can navigate and control everything. There's also an app, and inside of the app, you can actually download the app and you can exchange any one of the tokens for the debt token, which is our parent token, our utility token. And then you can take that debt token and you can go on to any of the exchanges that we're currently on. So we have 100% liquidity. I've never met one person that has not been able to liquidate their tokens should they want to. So I am excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of not only just being a node holder myself. Some people collect gold and silver. Some people collect stamps, Beanie Babies. remember collecting Beanie Babies? Some people collect licenses. I collect licenses. I'm going to collect as many licenses as I can over the next year. For me, I had to ask myself a couple of questions. The first one is, do I believe that cryptocurrency as a whole, the industry, is going to be more popular or less popular over the next 5 years? Well, I think that the demand is only going to continue to grow. So then the next question that I had to ask is, do I believe that high demand commodity backed projects like this are going to be in higher demand or lower demand? Guys, I can tell you, I am officially now what's titled as the debt ambassador. I have never seen anything like this. The amount of people that are wanting to get involved in our project, some of the biggest names in the cryptocurrency space I've been on the phone with in the last few weeks, because they want to be a part of this. And so I believe that those projects are going to be in high demand. Do I believe that high demand commodities like natural gas and oil, gold, these things are going to be in lower demand or higher demand? I believe they're going to be in higher demand. Has anybody seen what's happening to the price of Nat G right now? So for me, it made sense. It may not make sense for you, but for me, my wife and I said, this is something that we want to be a part of, and we're excited to be node holders. And so I would invite you to do your due diligence. We've got a lot of resources that are out there. We have an interview that I did with the owner where you can listen to him. Before I even invested, I actually interviewed him, and we recorded that interview on a Zoom, and for an hour, he'll blow your mind about what he knows about this space and where he's going with it. And you can watch that. You can listen to our chief geologist. You can listen to our engineers and talking about the scan technology that supports all of this. So do the due diligence that you need to ultimately make the right decision for you. And with that, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in today. I haven't yet figured out how to do a presentation less than an hour, but it's just a lot of information and really fun to talk about. And I'm really thankful for those of you that stuck with me. Didn't look like we lost too many people tonight. So we will definitely get this recording up for you guys to have access to in the future. I'm going to continue to tweak this presentation and make it available to everyone as well. With that, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Everybody, God bless. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening.